You know when you open a weather app on your phone,
Yeah.
there's just this very specific, like, quiet comfort in the data it gives you.
Oh,
You see a
absolutely.
little cloud icon,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
And a drop of water and text that says, I don't know, 30% chance of rain at 4 p.m.
Right, yeah.
And in that split second, the infinitely complex, swirling, totally chaotic atmosphere of the entire planet is just, it's reduced to a manageable single-digit number.
It gives you this illusion of total control, right, over the unpredictable.
Exactly. I mean, it translates a massive system of thermodynamics into a simple binary decision for your afternoon. Do I pack an umbrella or do I leave it by the door?
Yeah, and we crave that. We crave that kind of mathematical certainty.
We really do.
Because the alternative, acknowledging that we are completely at the mercy of chaotic natural forces is, well, it's deeply unsettling.
It's terrifying, honestly.
Right.
But imagine applying that exact same weather app logic, that demand for a neat numerical percentage to, like, the most volatile forces on Earth.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, think about the daily fluctuations of the global stock market, or the geopolitical maneuvers of world leaders right in the middle of active conflicts.
Right.
Or the hidden fault lines beneath the Earth's crust.
Yeah.
Or even just the weekend mood of a tech billionaire.
That is quite the list.
Right. Well, today's deep dive is going to explore a system that attempts to do exactly that.
I am so ready for this.
We are looking at a highly specific astrological forecast. It's authored by Gaye Haruski on a platform called Astrological, and it covers the week of May 18th to the 24th, 2026.
And for you listening, we really need to clarify what we are unpacking here today.
Yes, definitely.
Because this is not the standard newspaper horoscope you might glance at over your morning coffee.
Not at all.
We are dissecting a highly structured, intricate methodology. It uses what the author calls coefficients to basically assign hard numerical scores to the universe.
It's wild. It's an ambitious attempt to literally quantify chaos.
It really is. And because this source material makes incredibly specific claims about, global political tensions, prominent world leaders, financial markets, we are setting a very strict parameter for our analysis today.
Yeah, we have to. We are looking at this purely through the lens of the author's mathematical and astrological framework.
Right.
We aren't taking any political sides. We are definitely not endorsing any of the geopolitical worldviews presented in the text, and we are absolutely not offering real-world investment advice.
Please do not trade based on this deep dive.
Exactly. This is an impartial examination of how someone maps ancient cosmic concepts onto our, hyper-modern, deeply conflicted world.
So to understand any of the predictions for the week of May 18th, you really have to understand the engine driving the forecast.
Let's unpack that.
The original Turkish text relies on this term, katsayılar.
Katsayılar.
Okay. Which translates to planetary coefficients. Yeah, so instead of traditional astrology, which might simply note that a planet is moving into a certain constellation, this system assigns specific daily integer values to planets and astrological houses.
Okay, I want to break down the mechanics of that, because if I'm understanding the methodology correctly, the author is essentially creating like a cosmic index fund.
Oh, that's a great way to put it. Yes.
It's not just a vague feeling of bad energy.
Yeah.
They are stating that on Monday, May 18th, the planet Saturn sits at a precise coefficient of -2.
Right.
It's an algorithmic approach to mysticism.
That is a very precise way to look at it. The system demands that the universe produce a quantifiable score.
A hard number.
Exactly. And a -2 for Saturn carries specific negative implications in this framework. But the methodology takes an even more fascinating leap here.
Oh yeah, this is the part that got me.
It doesn't just apply these scores to human beings with literal birth certificates.
Right.
The author calculates these coefficients against financial markets and digital currencies by giving them their own birth dates. Or, natal charts.
This is the part of the text that really made me pause. I mean, a human being is born, takes their first breath in a specific geographic location, and you chart the sky at that exact moment.
Sure, traditional astrology.
I grasp the traditional logic there. But the author claims that Bitcoin's birth is January 3rd, 2009.
Yeah, the Genesis block.
Right. And because of that specific launch date, Bitcoin is treated as an entity with a Capricorn Sun, a Capricorn Mars, and a Pisces Venus.
It's so specific.
And Ethereum gets a birth date of July 30th, 2015. Even the Turkish stock index, the BST 100, is assigned April 5th, 2013.
Which makes it a fiery Aries, apparently.
which is just, it's mind-blowing to me.
Oh, and the mapping is exhaustive. The US dollar is calculated using a Cancer Venus,
Okay.
while the Turkish lira uses a Scorpio Venus. The system treats these, decentralized algorithms and abstract economic indicators as if they are living, breathing entities.
But, like, how does the system justify that? An algorithm like Bitcoin doesn't have a childhood.
No, it doesn't.
It's a blockchain launching. Applying human biological and psychological rules to lines of code feels like a complete oxymoron to me.
I get that.
Does mapping a digital currency to a Capricorn sun actually change how we analyze its market volatility?
Well, I think it reveals a really profound quirk in human psychology, which the author is totally tapping into here.
Okay, how so?
We have built these incredibly complex, decentralized financial systems, right? They operate at lightning speed.
Yeah.
They're driven by millions of disparate data points, and they are notoriously difficult to predict.
True. Traditional economic models routinely fail to anticipate crypto crashes.
Exactly. So, in the face of modern, uncontrollable volatility, the methodology reverts to one of the most ancient, centralized frameworks humanity has ever devised.
Astrology.
Right. By giving Bitcoin a birth date and planetary rulers, the system humanizes the math.
We need the blockchain to have a personality disorder so we can make sense of its price swings.
That is exactly the psychological mechanism at play. If Bitcoin is a Capricorn, its market behavior is no longer perceived as just random algorithmic noise.
Right, it has motives now.
Yes. It becomes driven by Capricorn traits like a need for structure, ambition, and a vulnerability to restriction when Saturn is involved.
That is fascinating.
It provides a narrative structure that the human brain can easily digest and anticipate.
So if we scale up from the psychology of digital currencies to the
Yes.
psychology of global leaders, the forecast for this specific week takes a very intense turn.
It really does.
Because that -2 Saturn coefficient we mentioned earlier,
Yeah,
it lands squarely on the global stage on May 18th.
right. And in this mathematical system, a low-scoring Saturn symbolizes intense obstacles, sudden delays, oppressive authority, and just a pervasive, heavy feeling of being blocked from your objectives.
Like walking through mud.
Yes, it is a cosmic constraint. And the author explicitly targets individuals who have their natal sun and Mars in specific signs.
Which ones?
Aries, Gemini, Cancer, Leo, Libra, Sagittarius, Capricorn, and Aquarius.
Okay, and the source material pulls zero punches here.
No, it does not.
It takes that astrological criteria and explicitly maps it to some of the most powerful and highly scrutinized men on the planet.
Right.
The text lists Donald Trump, calculating him with a Gemini sun and a Leo Mars.
Okay.
It lists Elon Musk, mapped as a Cancer sun and an Aquarius Mars.
Yeah.
It then applies this exact same Saturn pressure to world leaders currently entrenched in massive conflicts, like Israel's Prime Minister Netanyahu, Russia's Vladimir Putin, and Ukraine's Volodymyr Zelensky.
So the author's thesis is that all of these figures, despite sitting in vastly different geopolitical positions,
With completely opposing goals.
right, completely opposing goals,
Yeah.
will simultaneously feel this intense Saturn pressure on May 18th.
Wow.
The prediction is a shared experience of frustrating obstacles and stymied authority.
Let's unpack the logic of a universal roadblock, though. Because if Trump, Putin, and Zelensky are all caught in the same -2 Saturn traffic jam,
Yeah.
they obviously aren't trying to drive to the same destination.
Very true.
So does the methodology imply that their individual political agendas are halted in the exact same way? Or simply that the threshold for frustration is globally lowered that Monday?
The framework suggests the latter. The friction is universal, dictated by Saturn's low coefficient.
Okay, the friction is universal.
Yeah, the cosmic weather is thick and restrictive for everyone.
Yeah.
However, how that restriction manifests,
Right.
whether it's a stalled military offensive or a delayed legal ruling or a failed corporate acquisition, that depends entirely on the individual charts interacting with that low score.
So the common denominator is just that authority figures will find their agencies severely challenged.
Exactly.
And Saturn isn't operating in a vacuum here.
No, it's not.
The author introduces another layer of mathematical friction on May 18th and again on May 21st, driven by Pluto.
Ah, yes. Pluto.
But the math flips. Pluto is sitting at a very high positive coefficient, at +4,
And this highlights a really counterintuitive rule in the author's methodology.
which is,
A high positive coefficient is not inherently a good thing if the planet itself governs destructive forces.
oh, right.
Pluto is historically associated with deep transformation, upheaval, and destruction.
Okay.
So a +4 doesn't make Pluto gentle.
It supercharges it.
Exactly. It amplifies its destructive capacity.
Wow. And the forecast notes this amplified Pluto brings negative or destructive effects specifically for entities with their sun in Taurus, Aquarius, Leo, and Scorpio.
Right.
And again, just to maintain our strict neutrality while examining the text's case studies for you listening,
Always.
the author uses this formula to map the nation of Israel, calculating it as having a Taurus sun and a Leo Mars.
Yes. And because of those specific signifiers, the author explicitly predicts that Israel might face destructive impacts from Pluto's high coefficient during those days.
Okay.
The methodology uses the aggregate score of the planets to essentially draft a script for international relations.
Treating nation-states with the same astrological vulnerabilities as individual humans.
Exactly.
But, if the methodology claims a planetary coefficient is powerful enough to stall global military agendas and disrupt international relations,
Yeah.
how does it apply that exact same localized math to something entirely non-human?
Oh, you mean the Earth itself?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because the forecast doesn't stop at geopolitics, it predicts the actual physical Earth is going to break open.
Yeah. The scope of the claims expands significantly when we look at the environmental predictions.
It's wild.
The author flags May 24th as a massive earthquake point.
An earthquake point.
Yeah, warning of severe earthquakes, particularly along weak fault lines, as well as a heightened potential for violence or terror.
Wow.
And leading up to that, May 20th is labeled an earthquake intersection point, bringing negative weather conditions and an increased probability of accidents.
See, this is where I really struggle with the physical mechanics of the source material.
I get that.
Because translating human frustration from Saturn makes a kind of symbolic sense, right?
Sure.
But tectonic plate shifting. How does the author calculate a coefficient that results in a physical geological event?
Well, it requires a complete literalization of a metaphor.
Okay, unpack that for me.
In astrological symbolism, the sign of Scorpio governs the underground.
The underground, okay.
Right. It represents what is hidden, buried secrets, the depths of the human psyche.
Right, right.
The author takes that psychological symbolism and applies it to the literal Earth's crust.
Oh, wow.
They calculate the daily coefficients of any planets interacting with Scorpio, run them through an aggregate formula, and use that sum as a threshold.
Wait. So if enough planets aspect Scorpio and the math crosses a certain number, the symbolic concept of shaking foundations becomes a literal physical earthquake prediction in the forecast?
Precisely.
That's a fascinating blur between psychological archetypes and physical geology.
It really is. The math serves as a bridge, convincing the reader that the movement of the planets has a direct, calculable torque on the physical fault lines of the Earth.
It's treating the planet Earth like it has its own astrological chart that can be triggered.
Yep.
And while the Earth is supposedly shaking on May 20th, the methodology turns its attention back to the financial markets.
Of course.
The forecast operates like a cosmic Bloomberg terminal.
I love that phrase.
It predicts that alongside the negative weather patterns on the 20th, the price of gold might see a significant drop.
Okay, but the very next day, Thursday, May 21st, the numerical models flip entirely.
They flip.
Yeah, it is flagged as a massive boom day.
Wow.
The calculations suggest that gold will bounce back, and silver, Brent oil, Ethereum, and the BST 100 index will all experience a coordinated rise.
A boom day.
Exactly. However, if you are holding Bitcoin, the forecast warns that Friday, May 22nd is a drop day.
Now, there is a crucial detail buried at the bottom of these financial predictions that we have to talk about.
Oh, the caveat.
Yes. The author includes a small caveat. All of these market movements come with a margin of error of plus or minus 3 days.
Right. And in the context of day trading or cryptocurrency markets, a 6-day window isn't a margin of error.
Yeah.
It's an eternity.
It really is.
The volatility of those markets means an asset could crash and rebound twice within that time frame.
Think about that for a second if you're listening right now. Just imagine looking at your own retirement account.
It's stressful.
If a system tells you with absolute mathematical certainty that Ethereum is going to spike on Thursday,
Right.
but the caveat is that it might actually happen 3 days earlier or 3 days later,
Yeah.
does that coefficient actually give you actionable comfort? Or does it just induce a 6-day panic attack where you're constantly refreshing your portfolio?
It forces you to confront the limits of predictive models, honestly.
It really does.
If you believe the underlying math is sound, you might alter your investment strategy based on that Thursday projection.
Sure.
But if the margin of error overlaps with a predicted drop day for a correlated asset, the methodology demands a level of faith that the numbers themselves just can't fully support.
We are in desperate need of a palate cleanser in this forecast.
I agree.
Because we've walked through political roadblocks, magnified destructive forces, tectonic earthquakes, and volatile crypto drops.
It's a lot.
The week sounds exhausting,
It really does.
but the source material promises a major shift as we head into the weekend.
Thank goodness. Yes, the mathematical silver lining arrives on Saturday, May 23rd.
Okay, what happens?
The author highlights a supermoon transit. The moon moves through the sign of Virgo, and it generates a massive coefficient of +5.
Wait, a +5.
Yeah.
That is the highest single score we've encountered in the entire text.
It is. It is a massive influx of positive momentum.
Wow.
The text outlines that this transit heavily benefits anyone with their natal Mars in Taurus, Gemini, Scorpio, or Sagittarius.
Okay.
But the most significant boost goes to Cancer suns,
Why Cancer?
because the moon is the ruling celestial body of the Cancer sign.
Ah, of course. And the author loops back to Elon Musk to illustrate this, right?
Yes.
Because he is mapped as a Cancer sun. So on Monday, Musk is caught in a -2 Saturn traffic jam dealing with oppressive obstacles.
Right.
But by Saturday, the +5 supermoon hits, and the forecast says he will be deeply focused on securing his loved ones and just having a fun, relaxing time.
It creates a narrative arc for the week.
It does.
The heavy restriction lifts, and it's replaced by a desire for security and enjoyment.
Right.
But this specific transition from Monday's frustration to Saturday's relaxation, it illustrates the most crucial rule in the entire source material.
Oh.
The author includes a strict warning about how to interpret these numbers.
I was looking at that footnote. The distinction between natal planets and astrological houses.
Yes, exactly.
Authority reframes how you read the text. Let me see if I can synthesize this.
Go for it.
The author states that the coefficients of your natal planets represent your internal state. They dictate your own behavior, your drive, your personal mood like Musk wanting to have fun on a Saturday.
That's the internal baseline. But the astrological houses are entirely different.
Right. The houses symbolize the possibilities that will happen to you. They are the external environment.
Exactly.
So if my planets are my internal mood, the houses are basically the weather I have to walk out into.
That is a brilliant analogy. Yes.
Okay.
The planets are your internal psychology.
Right.
The houses are the external stage the universe forces you to act upon.
That makes so much sense.
And for this specific week in May 2026, the author calculates that the Taurus house carries the lowest overall coefficient.
So that's the bad neighborhood.
Basically, it represents an environment of bad luck and external difficulty.
Okay.
Conversely, the Virgo and Pisces houses hold the highest coefficients, signaling environments of good luck and positive external possibilities.
So wait, even if my internal planets are firing on all cylinders and I have a great attitude, if the area of my life governed by Taurus is triggered, I am basically walking straight into a -2 rainstorm.
Exactly.
The universe is still going to throw external obstacles at me, regardless of my mood. It's a really fascinating philosophical dividing line between free will and absolute determinism.
It really is. It prevents the system from being overly simplistic.
Yeah, you aren't just having a quote-unquote good day or a bad day.
No, you are a complex entity with internal drives, navigating an external landscape that has its own mathematical friction.
Wow. It is an incredibly dense, layered framework.
Extremely.
I mean, we started this deep dive by exploring how a methodology assigns a birth chart to a digital currency.
Right, Bitcoin the Capricorn.
Yeah, attempting to humanize the chaotic code of Bitcoin. And then we watched that system scale up to map a universal mathematical roadblock onto the vastly different political agendas of global leaders like Trump, Putin, and Zelensky.
And we examine how the author takes the psychological symbolism of Scorpio and literalizes it,
The underground.
running aggregate formulas to predict physical earthquakes along hidden fault lines.
Yeah, and we navigated a cosmic financial market that predicts the rise and fall of gold and Ethereum, all bounded by that incredibly frustrating margin of error.
That plus or minus 3 days.
Right. And we finally landed on a +5 supermoon weekend, where we had to separate our internal behavioral planets from the external weather of the astrological houses.
It's a lot to take in.
The sheer ambition of trying to quantify the entire universe into a daily scorecard is staggering.
It is. It requires a massive synthesis of mythology, human psychology, and mathematics.
It really does.
And it leaves you, the listener, with a rather profound question to consider as we wrap up today.
Oh, I like where this is going.
We live in an era increasingly dominated by artificial intelligence and hyper-complex predictive algorithms, right?
Right.
We feed massive amounts of data into these models, hoping they will forecast market crashes, political shifts, human behavior.
We want that certainty.
Exactly. So when we look at an astrological system that uses coefficients to assign hard math to the chaos of the world, it makes you wonder,
Yeah.
are we actually moving past these ancient frameworks?
Mhm.
Or are our modern algorithms just a new form of digital astrology?
Oh.
Are we still just desperately trying to read the stars, only now the stars are written in lines of code?
We are still just staring at the weather app, begging it to tell us if we have control over the rain.
Precisely.
What a thought to end on. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive.
It's been great.
Keep questioning the systems and the information around you, and we'll see you next time.